Welcome to IBML's Anti-Fraud Training. In this course, you will learn the definition of fraud and what you, as an IBML employee, can do to prevent it from happening to you, different methods that criminals use to steal information from individuals and corporations, including sophisticated social engineering scams, how IBML was recently attacked using a sophisticated, targeted fraud scam, and what could have been done to prevent the attack from happening. Let's begin by talking about the definition of fraud. What is fraud? Fraud is a wrongful or criminal deception intended to result in financial or personal gain. This may include theft, the misuse of funds or other resources, crimes such as bribery or corruption, or supplying false accounting or information. As an employee of IBML, we ask that you be committed to do everything possible to detect, investigate, prevent, and report fraud. Recently, IBML was the intended victim of a sophisticated and targeted attack that attempted to defraud the organization of approximately $91,000. This was not a technology-based attack, meaning there was no hacking or computer virus involved. In other words, our security technology was not breached. The nature of the attack was pure social engineering. Criminals are sneaky. They will always try to think one step ahead of you. You must always be on guard to protect not only IBML but also yourself. In this training, we will go over common types of scams, what to look out for, and how to avoid being a victim. The common types of scams we will go over are during the next few slides. These are phishing, clickbait, phone scams, and targeting scams. What is phishing? Phishing is a method of email fraud in which the perpetrator sends out a legitimate-looking email in an attempt to gather personal and financial information from recipients. Typically, the messages appear to come from well-known and trustworthy websites. Phishing scams usually involve hundreds or thousands of millions of fraudulent emails sent out just to see if someone will take the bait. Phishing scams are not targeted at one single person or company. You have probably seen this type of scam. Have you ever received an email from a Nigerian prince who needs to move millions of US dollars out of his country, but needs you to secure the transfer? Most people do not fall for this scam. In fact, this type of scam predates email. You may have also received an actual letter in the mail with a similar story. Clickbait scams use well-known names or events from the news to trick consumers into clicking on links that can download malicious viruses or other malware to computers. They may ask consumers to provide sensitive personal information before they allow viewing of a video or access to their site. In some cases, they disguise their sites to look like Facebook or other familiar sites. The videos are usually fake. In some cases, clickbait scams are meant to trick you into typing your credentials into banking or credit card sites. They might claim to be from popular banks or credit card companies and even use the same graphics and logo to appear to be legitimate. It's advisable not to click on links from within your email. If a company you do business with wants you to log into their site, it's best to go to the site from a web browser. If you happen to click a link inside an email, always verify that it actually does take you to the company website by verifying the URL address. Another popular clickbait scam is a pop-up ad that gives you some type of warning about your computer. These types of scams might give you a phone number to call to speak to tech support. It is not advisable to call using these numbers. Instead, use your own antivirus software and call the support number if needed. Phone scams often claim to be tech support, Microsoft, or a random financial organization. They will generally ask you to install something on your computer or ask for account details over the phone. Make sure you know who you are talking to or that the website you are on is legitimate. If you aren't sure, ask someone in IT for help. A targeted scam is a scam that is directed to a single, specific person or organization. It's often much harder to detect because of the sophistication of the attack and the time spent personalizing it to the intended victim, usually targeted at corporate victims. A high-effort, high-payoff scam. This is the type of scam IBML was recently attacked with. Luckily, the fraud was detected and there was nothing lost. But that easily could have been reversed since the scam seemed legitimate. Here's why. There were details in the email that made it appear real. It appeared to come from actual accounting employees who were part of the payment process. Also, the email contained the electronic signature of the person who was being impersonated. It referenced another legitimate employee in the delivery address, and there was an order number on the false invoice that was actually in our system. To those involved, it appeared to be real. How did this happen? The scammers faked the email by using the domain name ibml.co. While ibml.co is a legitimate domain name, it's not IBML's domain name. An email from an IBML employee will come from the domain ibml.com. What did we miss? Using ibml.co addresses was very sneaky. Our email system does not show the full address unless you click the details button. However, the full addresses do populate when you reply to the email. The signature of the email was slightly different from our standard signature. Typically, internals automatically show a friendly name. Let's go over some invoice oddities that we experienced from someone who posed as an international vendor. At first glance, we see by the phone number on the invoice that the vendor is international. However, the vendor has a domestic address. Also note that the tax was 19%. No domestic location has a tax rate that high. Also, the order numbers didn't line up with the correct vendor. These are just a few things that should trigger a red flag to employees. A little paranoia is a good thing. They really are out to get you. In an effort to protect IBML and our employees, our accounting department has developed the following policies and procedures for its team members. Wire transfers are no longer approved through email. There are absolutely no exceptions. A physical signature is required from the CEO, CFO, controller, or assistant controller. A physical signature is also required for the approval of a new wire vendor. A W-9 must be in place prior to any payment being sent, either check or money wire. Even if you're not an accounting employee, you should be aware of these policies and the multiple types of scams that exist. Remember, be safe, not sorry, when it comes to detecting fraud. Keep your eyes and ears open for suspicious activity and report it if necessary. Protect yourself and IBML. Thank you for taking this course. For more information about this topic, please contact your IT department.